All right, so I'm back live again. I'm still sort of getting my social media together. I've tweeted out to Twitter, which as soon as you tweet, the tweet disappears. So I'm gonna have to get better at being able to swipe all the people I've tweeted to and put that content back. Um, and I know that I can also broadcast out to Facebook. But the point here is to promote a different way of thinking about cryptocurrency. And uh, the, and this is an alternative to what's called opt return codes, which if you look at Bitcoin, Litecoin, uh, different versions of Bitcoin Cash, uh, these codes are used in order to put data into the stream. However, there's a number of issues with this. First of all, it's a hack. This is never something that was supported, although Bitcoin Cash has expanded the size of this place where you can put these codes. However, it's a hack. The miners, who are the people that are running the whole thing, don't have to hold on to these records, and they can purge the records if they want. That's one issue. And another issue is that you, as somebody who's just coming into this and has your wallet maybe on your phone, or you've just made your first step into this world, and you can't send one of these codes. You can't do this yourself. Someone has to do this on your behalf. And as a middleman, as a service that you provide, and you may have to have an account with them or transfer some cryptocurrency over, and then you can do things like you could create an image or this pretty blob of text or whatever you want, or use different services that are built on top of this. But the fundamental idea behind Bitcoin was that this would be peer-to-peer, that people could use this to send not only money to each other, but to interact with each other. And when you bring these intermediaries in, you lose that. Sort of like, one way I like to compare this to is if you drive Uber or Lyft, you might get to a point where you have the same customers over and over again, right? Maybe delivering food or carting people around, right? So you have the same customers, but you and them only can interact through the system. So the data, the relationship is owned by this third party, just as if it was Facebook or Twitter or YouTube or whatever. So there's a potential then for the whole transaction to be owned by yourself. However, again, when you use these opt return codes, you're using a third party. Also, because of the structure of the way these are coded, and because it's a hack, there's limits that are put on this. For example, a transaction can't have a bunch of these in it. It can only have one. So this solution, which I call DiMECASH at this point, is very different. And you can go to simply the website dime.cash and look at it. And I'll post that here so you can see that. And in this new emerging world of technology, there's lots of experts, there's lots of PhDs, there's lots of people that have been to many, many conferences, and I'm trying to get your attention so that you can look at this system, but because this system is very simple and can interact with the users in a way where those connections that I mentioned before are not lost. And this is also a hack. This is simply putting the information into the address space rather than into this op return code space. And these op return codes are so prevalent, it's an industry standard. And I know that, for example, someone like Paul Graham would say that by the time something becomes an industry standard and it's a given, then it may not be always the best thing. And there's also a wisdom of crowds that at some point turns into a madness of crowds when one way to do things is the only way. We've had op return codes for almost a decade now, I would say, and I think that they have value, but their value is limited. And I say this partly because they haven't pushed cryptocurrency into greater acceptance. Most people, the only interaction they have with cryptocurrency is a negative one. Either they took a couple $1,000s and invested it in Bitcoin when it was at its peak and then lost it, or they've seen a scam, they've seen a pump and dump. There's so many sort of bad players, and I think that people start out with genuinely good intentions, but you go down a certain path. And again, in most currencies, this is a strict adherence to opt return codes as this great solution. I offer a different solution. The solution I offer, you can see a single transaction. Understand that the whole transaction comes from one source, and that there's financial elements to it as well as readable text. And so sort of the work is done on the back end so that an auditor can come through and see things in an easier way. And so this site, again, that I posted, DiMECASH, shows an example of this. There's no way for the site to take your money, and you might say, oh gosh, you need to monetize. Well, yes, I need to monetize, but also I need to get a discussion started, because other people can send messages using this system, and I can see their messages, so we can communicate that way in an open way. So I'm looking for funding. I've sent out my first friends and family letter. Pretty much at this point, I would say everybody who knows me, knows that I've been working on this for quite a while, and they have a copy of this now. Let me also paste the website in here where you can see this. You can see my Venmo account, and I guess I can paste my Venmo in here too. So that it's ironic in this world of cryptocurrency that the way I'm trying to raise funds is not through the currency itself, because we're not quite there to that point yet. On the site, I do have a Dogecoin address, so I guess you could send it to that, or you could. I can post various, Bitcoin, Litecoin, whatever. I can accept any of those. But most people who I know at this phase who might be interested in working with me on this and investing, are not going to have that technology. But you should have Venmo, or I accept PayPal. There's a number of different ways to do things. I have my phone number on there. So if you just go to this website, wrigler.org, you can read about that stuff. And that's it. I need to understand how to live stream where I can show you things other than simply holding them up. But this is The system that I propose is very visual. People that I just show that don't have it's actually better for people that don't have an experience of cryptocurrency, because most people who are knowledgeable about this will say, "Gosh, you're not using op return codes," and their brain just shuts off immediately. I have recently spoken to online with another content another innovator out of Estonia, of all places, who has a website, and I'll post a link to his site too. It is, let's see, cryptograffiti.info, I believe. This is Eric. He's got a cool hacker name. I think it's like, I don't know, Hyena. It's Hyena. This is Hyena. So he has very similar beliefs to what I have, but he has implemented this in a different way. So the way that he's implemented this is still with addresses, but you have images and you have text that is more flexible. For example, I see text in there with a number of special characters. So if you think about that as sort of using this technology in a binary way, for you computer savvy people, that's binary. So my solution is limited. It's sort of like a reduced instruction set solution, but this is a reduced character set solution. So I only have capital letters and a couple symbols and numbers, and the small letters are special characters. And again, if you look to the site, you can see this. You can see how it works. This is a solution where once you see this, once you see a valid transaction in this format, it's very easy to reverse it. It's very easy to understand what I did to get there, and it's very easy. You don't have to do a lot of calculations to find these. One of my acquaintances that I'm eager to work with more is an auditor who has worked with companies like Ernst & Young, and I believe they're doing the same thing, right? There's a number of companies who have these servers, like the servers I would build and I'm run, that simply audit the chain, and it would be very easy for them to see these messages. I mean, it would be hard to not see and read these. That's the point. That's the point. I think that there's, for example, more value in being able to take these documents into a courtroom and saying, look, this is what we understand exactly what this person was saying because of the way this is formed. So the cryptograffiti solution is, while it uses the same address space versus opt return codes, it goes after. It's not as easy to read. It has to be interpreted, and so his site will interpret it. You can use these systems in conjunction with opt return codes, and in fact, you can. There's different ways to do that. However, I haven't explored that because this has been enough. This has been enough for me in the past few years to build a completely working feedback loop that can be easily integrated with current technology. Any phone that you've got, I have on the DiMECASH site, there is a quiz, a color. What's your favorite color, and you pick on the site. You choose your color, and it will show you a QR code. You hit that QR code with your phone, which would have currency in your phone, and your vote is sent into the system. Now, anybody that sees that understands that that's you. So that's why, that's one of the main reasons why this is different and this is important, is because the site helps you send a message, but it doesn't send it for you. Now, for a bigger message, it would have to send it for you, but I don't want to do that, because as soon as I start doing that, I run into uh, know your customer issues, anti-money laundering issues. So what I would rather do is help people build their own version of this. And so, that's one way I monetize, would be with the software. Like on the DiMECASH site, you would have your own version of it. But as I said, this is so easy that anybody that's relatively technical savvy, and I'm looking at you guys who I've tried to hit on Twitter on this, right? As long as you're just sifting through the blocks, looking at the different records, you would be able to see this, read this, and even see that people have done things like voted or interact with the system. So it's very much about a way for anybody with a phone to start, and that's important, because I see hundreds of millions of dollars spent on infrastructure that competes with each other, even between Satoshi's vision and ABC, right? These technologies compete with each other, but in order to win, I say we all win together. The way to bring cryptocurrencies into adoption and where they can be trusted is to be more transparent. And this is a way that can be more transparent. So this is, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream right now. Like I said, I'm going to keep doing this throughout the day. I'm going to get better at doing this. And I'm also so I'm looking for funding too, right? So again, if you want to participate in this, go to Wriggler.org, and that's where my Venmo account is. And then if you go to DiMECASH, you can see this technology in action. And so one group that I want to talk to is the hairnets, right? The smart, technical people who will tell me that op return codes are the way to go, and this is stupid. I really want to hear from you. I want you to interact with this. And part of my frustration is it seems like there's a number of conversations going on, but all the conversations are sort of funded, right? They're funded either through a university or a company, and oftentimes I just question. I question, I guess, the authenticity of the conversation when somebody has trouble coming in with a valid technology, and maybe this isn't valid, but it is, and maybe I haven't heard from you guys, the hairnecks, the smart people, the people everybody turns to tell them about this, the people that are getting millions of dollars for their startups. I haven't heard from you as to why this solution is not valid. And I think the answer is that it cuts you out of the system. This allows people to function without you. And it's much easier for you to monetize this if people are dependent on you. And I don't think, I don't think that people start out that way, but I think that in this technology that I'm talking about was not readily apparent to everybody, but it's here now, and you can use it. You can look at this. Good luck trying to patent this, because I've made reference to this in public disclosures, and there's pieces out on the blockchain itself where you can read this. So you would have to somehow show that your company has been working on this longer than I've been posting the readable messages into the Dogecoin chain, right? And also the whole point of this is and the whole point of cryptocurrency is that it's free and open, and it uses open source solutions. I also have a lot of this on GitHub. I'll post my GitHub. You can go out there. This is on GitHub. This is basically right here. It's just a Python script. With that Python script, which I forked from somebody else, and I put it back onto GitHub the way I'm supposed to, with that Python script, you can do 90% of this. So, so I've built a website around this. I can sell that as a solution to banks or auditors or whoever wants to do that. And it would come as a cloud solution, or if you want this to run on your local computer, that's fine too. I can help you build your own solution, but the point is by doing it this way, instead of it seems harder at first, but I can never steal your money. Nobody can ever steal your money unless they break into the site, and I don't have any of your data, and also I don't have that liability. So you would be able to use this system to say whatever you wanted into whatever cryptocurrency you want to speak into. I would be able to see it. Other people would be able to see it, understanding, basically how this system works. And again, it's very, very readable. It's very easy for auditors. You're not making them do the work that they have to do if you're using an op return code system. So but you would be able to have that interaction yourself. You would be able to deal with somebody that you want to deal with. And again, that was, if you go back and look at the Satoshi Nakamoto white paper, that's what it was all about. That was the original vision. Now, Craig Wright has come out and said that he is Satoshi Nakamoto. He might be, but there's a couple issues here. One is that in the paper, in the first few sentences, it uses the word we, which implies that this is a group of people, that Satoshi Nakamoto was actually a group of people. Well, Craig Wright might be one of those people in the group. Also, I think that while it's great to have alternatives to Bitcoin itself, because things like because Bitcoin can be overwhelmed by level two solutions like the Lightning Network, and also there's the argument that something like sharding needs to happen. Well, you sort of have sharding because you have all these different currencies. So you've got anyway, I guess one of the concerns I have about Craig Wright is it seems like he is simply promoting his own coin, Satoshi's vision, and there are developers, again working with opt return codes, that have developed solutions only for that. And this solution that I'm talking about is you can take the script that I just posted and you can play with it and you can figure out how to use it for all these coins, Bitcoin, Bitcoin Lite, Litecoin, Dogecoin. I was able to make this work with Zcash, but I had to change the script. It's very easy. You just have to add another character because Zcash is one character longer. And then you have to get a couple other things right. But that's the basics of this whole system. It's simply built on this address system. And like I say, what my frustration here is that there is a conversation going on, and it is a conversation between universities and the hairnecks, the smart folk, and people whose main goal is to fund their company. And hey, that's my goal too. I want to fund my company, but I want to do it in a way that's responsible. I want to do it in a way that actually helps people, because I don't see that happening. I don't. We don't need 100,000 transactions per second when most folks have never bought a hamburger with cryptocurrency, at least here in the United States and around the world, right? So we don't need to be able to scale up. I think a lot of these solutions have been sold on the idea that, well, we're not going to use it now, but at some point when it's a lot better, then somebody else will use it and they'll just bring it to us. Where really people can use this themselves. So again, I'm looking for funding. You go to Wriggler.org, and that's where my Venmo account is. That's where that's where you can learn about me. There's a link to DiMECASH, and the DiMECASH is the demo of all of this. This is very similar to this crypto graffiti info, which has been going for years. I talked to Dr. Hyena about it, a while back, and using this solution and his solution together, you would be able to create records that have both images and this very easy to read, very easy to find text that I believe you can take into a courtroom and you can say, this is what this transaction means, because it says it. You can read it. You just have to understand that tiny x is space, stuff like that. So then there's the GitHub, where what I guess what I'm saying is, and I'm sorry I don't have a beard. I mean, do I need a beard? I don't think I need to grow a beard. I'm Generation X. We don't have beards, okay? Just don't hold it against me. I'm not an idiot, but I just don't happen to have a beard. I don't happen to have a doctor's degree, but I know what I'm talking about. And if I'm wrong, then you guys all should be lining up to give me the beating I deserve. But all I hear is squirrels. I don't hear it. So that's what I say. Bring it on. Bring it on. Tell me why this is wrong. Tell me why this is wrong. The truth is that this is very simple, and nobody thought of this before. I think people came close. This also involves Satoshi codes, which were also sort of shot down. So people come close to these ideas, and they're discouraged because, again, there's this madness of crowds where, the goal is to get that venture capital funding, and the only way to do it is to present something that looks a certain way, and you're essentially playing house at some point because you don't have a solution that's a distinguisher, and you're competing with so many other things. I understand Nash's Law is that the best way for me to win is for us to all win together. So the best way for cryptocurrency to work is to not be the $1 million middleman, but to not be a middleman at all, to understand how to interact with, and that's one thing I'm doing. I'm here in Grapevine, Texas, and I've talked to the Chamber of Commerce. I've talked to non-technical people, politicians. My state representative is interested in this. A number of people in the area, folks at the church I go to, are interested. So there are so many possibilities to understand this and connect, and just have people, like I say, just buying a hamburger with some cryptocurrency is far more important than sharding or having 100,000 transactions per second, or the wallet that your team built for your currency that they spent 12 months working on, that's almost identical to 200 other wallets that are out there for other currencies, right? So there's a chance in this world for standardization. Think about this. Think about the TV. Okay, so we have a PlayStation, and in the PlayStation, the kids play games with it, and I play Minecraft every once in a while. But in the PlayStation, we mostly use it to watch TV. Now, back in the day, the TV had channels, and you change the channel. Either you'd get up and change it, or you'd use your controller. The new channels of the PlayStation are different services, like Netflix or Amazon Online or whatever, right? There's HBO Go. But each service reinvents the wheel. Each service has its own mechanism, its own set of servers. Gosh, and I hope they're using Kubernetes. Gosh, I hope they are. Sometimes I wonder. Sometimes when there's a new show that's previewed, I think, gosh, they need more DevOps guys. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding about that. So I guess my point there is that when a new show comes out, it should be able to scale up and down without an issue. But more importantly, I should be able to pick how I want to interact with this thing. I should be able to have my remote control and push stop, and it means stop, push left, and it means back and right. So, but what's happened is every service has its own way to do things. Like Netflix will, if you can't stop and just sit with Netflix on something, it's going to start playing no matter where you are. You have to go into it and pause it, right? Okay, that doesn't benefit you. That benefits Netflix. And that functionality is only there for Netflix. So you should be able to have software that you can use to watch whatever service, and the software is the same, right? But that's not the way it works, because these things are crafted by companies that each are competing with each other and are. It is. You get something that's at their benefit. So the whole solution could be much better. Same with the computer. The solution could be better, but for the fact that somebody else has to get paid. So that same model is being carried over into the cryptocurrency world, but nobody is particularly winning because everybody competes with each other, and that's not necessary. It's not necessary to function that way. That's not how Bitcoin was designed. That's not how the white paper was supposed to work. It was. It cuts out the middleman. It's something that it's good at doing, but the companies that are getting funding are adding themselves back in as the middlemen. So the difference in my model is I'm not doing that. I'm showing people, I'm giving people the minimum resources they need to be empowered to be equal players in this. So and it's also a freedom of speech issue, because they would then be able to say whatever they wanted through this currency. And when I say whatever I want, that's what I mean. That you can communicate through this. You can communicate text using my system. You could communicate images, and you could do this with opt-return codes as well. But the way that I see them implemented is troublesome, and because they're siloed, and also, like I say, it's a hack that. And this is also a hack, but opt-return codes are a hack that can be discouraged by the currency. That's an issue. And then also the message is abstracted from the user. So in my solution, a user can interact with a message. A user, because it's an address, right? So, for example, you can send a very long message, 800 lines, 1,000 lines. I was looking at some on the crypto Graffiti site, and while you can't read them, they go on for thousands of, it's a very large transaction. So, in this solution, you could pick one of the addresses right from the middle of the transaction, and you could interact with it. You could send the currency to it that has a specific meaning. You can link things together in a different way. This is and I'm describing something that really needs to be deep vetted out. And like I say, I am trying so hard. I got on Twitter, and basically every university I could find that was, starting with Stanford, oh, Stanford, and Yale, and all of them. I'm like, I tweeted out. Of course, that doesn't work. I needed to tweet out with a $10,000 bill, I guess, to get people's attention. But that's the irony is that in order to get funding, you have to have funding. And that's the phase I'm at. So I don't know. So okay, so I have I put this out on Twitter. I hit some folks, and here's the video. And it's not hard to respond. It's not hard to respond. I have a YouTube channel. Do all the stuff you're supposed to do, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, whatever. I just want to hear from you. And I'm looking for people. I guess I want to, let me rephrase that. I want to hear from you, but if all you're going to say is opportunity codes are the way to go, you're an idiot, then maybe I don't want to hear from you. But I need to, this is a valid discussion. And I want to start, go on the road and start hitting the universities and sitting down, showing this to students. Whenever I interact with people and face to face with this in real life, the reaction is very different. While you have to use this social media, the way to make it work appears to be to plug $20 bills into it, as that appears to be the way to interact with the universities or companies that want to do stuff, right? Having valid ideas is not enough. You have to have valid ideas, and apparently money. Everything runs on money. It's ironic that this is money too. But I'm trying to get to the point where we can communicate with each other in a different way, where the systems are not locked up like that, and also, like I say, just presenting these ideas. If I am wrong, you guys get to tell me 100 times over that I'm wrong. But I have a feeling that the things that you would say is simply that operator codes is the industry standard. We're all using the industry standard. We are just right on the edge. After 10 years of having operator codes, we are just right on the edge of something that's critical, and somehow that is going to just cascade out into the world, say the world of real people who need to just understand how to load a basic, a basic light wallet, right, onto their phone or whatever, understand how to make a paper copy so that they don't lose their money, get about $5 or $20 or whatever of some cryptocurrency, and do small little transactions. That is 10,000 times more important than the projects you're working on that you got tons and tons and tons of cash for, that you are competing with each other, and you're going to fail. You're going to fail anyway just take a small break from all of that and tell me why this system of very simple codes that anybody can send to each other, that auditors can easily see, that can be understood to be one person speaking, that can be that can be used in conjunction with other systems like the crypto graffiti system and op return codes. In fact, this system even could facilitate op return codes because you could use it to create this sort of single record that people can understand to be one thing in a much easier way. That's one of the issues with op return codes, is because the way that they're discouraged in the currencies, it's very fractured, and so you always need somebody to put the pieces together for you, as best I can tell. But my biggest argument against them is you haven't succeeded yet. You haven't succeeded. I know you're close. I know you just need a couple more $1 million. Maybe a new building would be nice. But, you haven't succeeded. And if you did, I wouldn't want to use your solution unless, now in some cases, solutions allow me and another person to interact directly with each other. But if your solution hides that interaction, then that's not good. That's not good. So anyway, this is my live stream. Like I said, I'll keep doing this again and again. I'm trying to, if maybe you don't know that much about cryptocurrency, but you know somebody who is a super crypto genius, have them look at this. Okay, send this to them. Send this to them. The Craig Wrights of the world, the super hairnecks, the folks with 7 PhDs. I want to hear from those guys. Okay, I want to hear from those guys. And like I say, the most systems in the world today are broken. Our political systems are broken. They're not broken, but they benefit a small group of people, and there's a larger group of people that are not the beneficiaries, right? So I don't know. Like I say, if I need to plug in a couple $100 into Facebook, Twitter, whatever, then I guess I can do that. But to start with, I need the problem that the mistake that I made up to this point is not interacting with people. It's trying to self-fund these projects on the side. While working, while getting in my car and driving across town and sitting and being a cubicle warrior, sitting down at a desk so that people can understand that I'm doing some sort of work, because that's the only way in many situations that you understand that somebody's adding value or pretending to add value, is by seeing their body in the desk, even though the work we do is all on computers and online and should be measured by dollars, should be measured by actual money coming in. But we live in this very abstract world where that's not the case. So anyway, that's it. That's it. I'm gonna end the live stream and just keep working on this. So